Welcome to Front Up. My name is Davis Pike, and I'm the guest host today for a section on Lubec, my hometown. Recently in Lubec, we have had an election last August where two new selectmen were elected. One was Sarah McConnell, and the other was Mike Scrivani. Today we're honored to have as our guest Mike Scrivani. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome, Davis.
Now, Mike, I know that you were originally from New York. Maybe you would tell us what drew you to Lubec as a place to live.
Well, it wasn't any place I'd picked, and it was from an old love that I reconnected with, and she had already selected Lubec, and what I've learned is if you're lucky enough to live in Lubec, you're lucky enough.
Very good. Well, Lubec is much better for your presence. Tell me what work you've found in Lubec.
I'm a building improvement general contractor, and I've found plenty of work in Lubec. And because I'm not limited to doing one thing in construction, I am always busy. Anything from foundations to ridge caps and everything in between.
That's great. And Lubec certainly seems to be growing at the moment.
In the 7 years that I've lived in Lubec, I've seen it really turn a corner about 3 years ago. And older couples seem to be attracted to Lubec, and they buy older homes and invest some money in them in improvements and become members of our community. And we've got a great community, a lot of wonderful things in Lubec, fantastic library, good area for public access for water, recreation, and it's a wonderful spot.
Okay, since you have a business that keeps you fully occupied, what made you think of getting into politics and serving on the Board of Selectmen of Lubec?
Well, I don't have television, so a town meeting is a free event to participate in, and all of the meetings of the Select Board are open to the public and televised on cable. And incidentally, I hope that our meetings could be televised to other viewers that are outside the cable hookup area. But I believe that at some point in all of our lives involved in the towns that we're in, and even though we have busy lives, we feel that we can do something to help. And so that brought me into attending the meetings, coming up to speed. Positions became available on committees that I had an affinity to, the planning board. I've been 3 years representing Lubec on the Marion Transfer Station Board. And incidentally, for the region that Lubec is in, Marion Transfer Station will be going through some changes that are going to increase our service to the area, especially in recycling. So, as I said, I saw areas where I felt that involvement would help further an improvement and enhancement to the area, and that's what I would rather do. I think most people, when they hit the age of around 50, they start realizing they have a limited amount of time, and what can they do with that limited amount of time to make it count. So
that's wonderful, because we're happy to have members of the next generation get into politics. Did you have to do any campaigning, or how do you get elected?
That's a good question. I've been meaning to go back through the election results and see if I actually did get elected. No.
Joke, very good. We always appreciate a little humor.
That's right. Humor is important. Yeah. I'm not a sign guy, and I really don't like the way American politics has become. Supporters of politicians have been out and they throw all these signs up, and days after the election, here they are looking a little bedraggled, and nobody seems to rush out to take them down. So I went through this election vowing that I was not going to put up a sign that later I would have to go run and take down, because it's a small enough community. As you know, we're a little over 1,300 according to the last census, which brought us down from a little over 1,500. And the word of mouth of who you are, since everyone literally knows everybody, I felt with my involvement that I was known, and that would suffice. And if I didn't get elected, I didn't. But I see we had good people that were getting involved, and I think it's turned out for the best.
Good. And you've been in Lubec 7 years?
7 years now.
Very good. Now, the fact that you have made this effort to be on the Board of Selectmen, you must have a vision for the future of Lubec. Where do you see that you can help Lubec, and to what end?
Well, let's keep in mind that you're talking to one member of the Select Board, so anything that I might say is my opinion only.
Okay.
And for the vision of the future of Lubec is safeguarded by the fact that it's a committee, and anything that they do is decided by a public hearing and a public vote. And what seems to help is common sense approach to most of the situations. Lubec is a beautiful town, not unlike other small towns that go through the same growing pains and common situations that occur. So keeping a cool head and considering everything correctly is all you can ask of your elected officials, and of course the last decision is made by the public themselves. All
right. Now, right now we have some issues, one of them being the ambulance. Maybe you want to highlight what are the key issues for the next 6 months and what's being done about them.
The ambulance is operating fine.
Okay. But
next question.
Okay. I thought the future of the ambulance service was in doubt because Baileyville was pulling out. It
may have been, and that's still not known. That's something that's still in transition.
Okay. Okay. Is there any other projects that the selectmen have right now to focus on?
Well, of course, there's the Public Works building, which the town is going through the moves of checking out the piece of land that they have available, having it surveyed. Our Public Works department it's time to replace the structure, and even if we kept it in the same spot, it would be a space constriction. So it's time to consider a new structure, a little bit larger, better condition, and the salt sand, which we were able to store there, would have to be handled differently in a different location. But it's not as big a project as many people think. It is an important project, but it's one that the town, it's a necessity.
All right. And there's been a lot of talk about a new bridge to Campobello. Do you have anything to tell the viewership?
That's a good one. During the time that I was on the Comprehensive Zoning Board, that came up that there was potential that it might be moved to a different location, which doesn't seem feasible. Then recently I had heard from someone that they had heard something on television that the bridge itself was moving. That's just hearsay. That's crazy.
There's nothing that the town has, no information.
There's no information that I'm aware of one way or the other. Although just recently both governments had work crews on the bridge scaling and repainting, and which I think was routine maintenance on that structure, which, if I remember correctly, that bridge went up in the 70s, early 70s?
1962.
1962. So probably at its age span it may be showing signs of deterioration, but whether or not it gets moved as a result of repairs, I don't see how that could happen. It would probably be more of an inconvenience for Lubec than Canada, and the only other thing that could be done would be a bypass right around Lubec to a relocated bridge, and we don't want that to happen.
No. Okay, I also noticed this summer we had the Lubec Eastport Ferry, this time in quite a large boat, running 4 times a day. I assume that was quite beneficial to the town. Do you know how long it's going to keep going?
I'm not sure what their schedule is, although I feel that that's a good point regarding the soul sister relationship Eastport has with Lubec. And both Eastport and Lubec are experiencing a good situation with their being destination towns. And Eastport has shared with Lubec its success in its Pirate Festival, in that they invade us, which is of great amusement to me. And this year we even had an airplane throwing marshmallows out the window as it flew
I didn't
over.
Hear about the marshmallows.
Oh, it was hysterical. Right. And then there's the tug of war, which I think next year we're going to have very strict rules of equal men on either side of the rope, and of course a couple of those pirates, I'm almost convinced, were wearing lead X-ray jackets, and that isn't fair.
And of course we should also mention for the wider audience that this year Lubec had its bicentennial, a major event. And I want to compliment you on your T-shirt today. Can you mention what it is?
This T-shirt is for the Lost Fishermen's Memorial, and in Lubec at the breakwater we will be having a landscaping, and the Fishermen's Memorial site there will be a beautiful thing to behold. The stones, the paving stones, will be available to the public to have names of loved ones or a nautical motif on them to make that a very lovely spot, and I think it dresses up a section of town that's the perfect spot for it.
Yeah,
and in memory of those that have lost their lives, this is a big fishing community, and over the years it was remarkable, the day of the event when they commemorated it, the reading of the names, which went back to the 1800s, and I was astounded. But
hundreds of names.
Hundreds of names.
And it's not just Lubec, it's the whole community, Canada, Eastward, the whole cultural community for all the way to Grand Manan, right?
Exactly.
So this is quite a project, and a good community project. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome, Davis. A pleasure.
Appreciate you coming. Thank you.